Today is Maundy Thursday. What is a Maundy? I don't know. I don't know what the word means, but I know it's connected to a Latin word. I don't know that Latin word either, but I know that Latin word has to do with giving a command or a mandate. For on Thursday, that last week of Jesus' life before he went to the cross, he gave a new command. And that new command was go and love others, love each other as I have loved you. He changed the command to love others as we love ourselves. Why did he do that? Because we even love ourselves imperfectly, and therefore we love others imperfectly. And Jesus wants us to know perfect love, his perfect love, and he wants us to love others the way we have been loved, and actually with the love which he has poured into us. Now, there's a lot going on in the context of this Thursday. It is the Thursday of the Last Supper. In John, it says that as they came to the house where they would have the Last Supper, Jesus knew that his death was imminent. He knew he was returning to his Father in glory. He also knew that his betrayer was sitting around that table with him. He knew that his other friend, Peter, was going to deny him 3 times before the rooster crowed. He knew that all of his friends were going to scatter in fear at his greatest time of need, and yet he shared this Last Supper with them. After that supper, they went to the Garden of Gethsemane, and Jesus went just a stone's throw, it says, away from his disciples. And he knelt down in prayer with his Father. And in fact, Luke, who was a medical Greek doctor, a Greek medical doctor, notes that Jesus sweat drops of blood, which is actually a medical phenomenon that can still happen today to people who are in the utmost of distress, where blood can mingle with our sweat. And Jesus was crying out to his Father that this cup, his death, might pass if his Father would allow it. But in the end, even with all that agony, knowing he was going to be betrayed, denied, his friends would abandon him, knowing that the Roman cross, the worst crucifixion, was laying ahead of him, he said, "Not my will, Father, but your will be done." But let's back up a little bit. Before all of these things, when they first entered the house where they were going to have their Last Supper, Jesus took off his outer robe. He went and got a towel and he tied it around his waist. And he went and got a basin full of water and he started kneeling down before his disciples and washing their feet, much to their dismay. You see, washing each other's feet was something they wouldn't have even done for each other. This was something for the lowest of servants to do. And yet here's Jesus, their teacher, their rabbi, their master, the one who they know is the Messiah. And Jesus knows that one is a betrayer. He washes Judas's feet. He knows one is going to deny him, even knowing him 3 times. He washes Peter's feet. He knows all of them are going to scatter. He washes their feet. He takes the lowest form of a servant and he simply serves them and blesses them and loves them. And he says, you don't get it. You don't know right now what I'm doing for you, but one day you will. And he says, and when you remember this, I want you to remember this moment. You're not going to have trouble remembering that I died for you. You're not going to have trouble remembering that I rose again to give you life, but you might forget this moment because it's so lowly. I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that with all I know, with all that I am facing, I took the form of a servant simply to serve you on this Thursday, to wash your dirty feet, just to bless you and show you how much I love you. And then he said to his disciples, and I want you, when you remember what I've done for you, to go and do the same for others. To go and love others as I have loved you. To go and be a servant to others just like I have served you. And so I want you to do 2 things, not for me, do it for yourself this Thursday. The first thing, I want you to use your imagination. God gave you an imagination. I like to call it the holy imagination. Take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even longer, and go into an imaginative, meditative state, and where you picture Jesus as not just a general servant, but as your servant. And I want you to ask the question of Jesus as you imagine him before you. Jesus, what would you do to serve me in this moment? I know you washed the disciples' feet. What do you want to do for me? Simply to serve me and show me your love in this moment. And just sit there and let your imagination run and see what God will do with that. Take some time with that. After you've done that, let that lead you into a time of prayer where you invite the Holy Spirit to speak to you. Because remember, Jesus said, just as I have done for you, go and do for others. Just as I have loved and served you, go and serve and love others. Ask the Spirit, who would you have me serve today or over this weekend or this coming week? What would you have me do to simply serve, maybe even the most menial of ways, simply to show others your love? This is what Maundy Thursday is all about.